Great. So if you guys do have any questions, you can just scream them out or type them in the chat, and I will be checking the chat toward the end. But let's talk about this research. I know I have brought this up in several sessions since the research came out this past summer. But I find like each time I go and I look at the data, there's always something interesting to glean from it. The Suddenly Online survey came out last summer, and basically 1,300 undergraduate students were polled from across the nation about what happened with this recent pivot to online only education. And students cited social interaction as an element that helped build a sense of community and belonging in their classes. Now, the survey also found that students who were engaged achieved higher grades and better outcomes than those who weren't. So for the next, hopefully 30 minutes, we're going to talk about a few ways to engage our learners from the very start of class. When I say the start, I'm talking about what they see physically on the page, on the screen, which is the top of the course, that course introduction module that we all try to use to some extent. Most of us do here at Notre Dame. So I'm Simone Jennifer Christian. I'm the instructional designer in the School of Nursing. My background is in graphic design and corporate communications, and we're going to talk about that course introduction module today. So in this session, we're going to try and cover a couple different things. We're going to identify a few strategies to design a more robust course intro module. We're going to look at some preparedness tactics, and these are ways that students can self-check to make sure they're ready to move on to the academic content of your course. And we are going to identify one or two elements in that introduction module that can be repeated throughout the course. Now, engaging your students online, like I said, it starts at the very beginning when they first enter your course. And this is necessary in normal times without a global pandemic, but it really is quite vital during this time of prescribed online and remote learning. So you use the course introduction module. In general, this is what we've done, what I've told people to do in the past, is you use it to set expectations, to introduce your course to learners, to give them the tools they need to be successful in your course. So maybe you have a cache of course rubrics, maybe you have academic integrity policies, maybe you have departmental policies in that introduction module, but you can also give them assignment due dates or submission criteria. If you have things that are vastly different from other courses, you can tell them where to go for help or for technical support in that introduction module, and you can introduce yourself to them and also allow them to introduce themselves to each other. I mean, that's what I like to kind of talk about and advocate for, because right now with face-to-face, with our virtual class meetings, like cameras on is a rarity, and students are just not making those peer-to-peer connections that they did when they sat across from each other in the class. So I feel it's vital to use that introduction module to give them more chances to connect and engage with each other. Now, in that module, from the beginning, you want to start with some introductory text and give them an overview of what the course is about. You may want to include a header image. Let me go to my Sandbox course and we'll take a look as a student. You may want to include a header image like I have here, that little set truck playing in the sand. And if you come into a course with a header placed in the sandbox, then it's not going to drag that image from the course dashboard, it's going to be different. So your students will have a visual cue that this is something different than the rest of the content. You can also, in this course introduction module, include all of the necessary resources that students need to go forward. So you may have a class overview, you may have the syllabus in here, like I said, PDFs, documents, things for them to print out or download. You can have all of that content in this course introduction, and it won't interrupt that academic content that you will then present them. And it kind of cleans up and makes for a more concise visual page for your learners to experience. So what I like to actually have most of the faculty I work with do is create a course introduction video. And this is something that would live in that intro section as well. But the video can cover most of the bases that we want to cover in under 5 minutes or so. And it's still housed in that section. It provides a good first impression for your students. That video can help you replicate the face-to-face interaction in the traditional classroom. It can ignite excitement about your course, and it can explain how relevant the content is to them. So the video need not be something that is highly polished and really great production values, which is something I like to do as well, but you don't have to do that. We're all, working to give our students a wonderful and effective learning experience, and it doesn't mean that you spend 40 hours making a 5-minute video look really good. So what you want to do is really just get your points across to the learners. And I want you to see what a few of these look like, this course introduction video that answers a lot of the needs of that section in the course. So first up, we have, if I can find the right window, we have our writing course for School of Nursing students. And that is tab 3, sorry. And my start here page of my module, I have Professor Aschenbrenner, who has created, okay, gotta go back, sorry, thought I'd queued that up. Actually, I'll just go and look at the video separately from the page. So this is an introduction from Professor Diane Aschenbrenner for a Writing for Nurses course.
306, Writing for Professional Nursing. I'm Diane Aschenbrenner, and I'm the course coordinator. I'd like to tell you a little bit about this course, but first let me tell you a little bit about me. I've been a nursing educator for many years. I've been here at Notre Dame since 2016.
And Diane goes on in about 3 minutes to give a personal bio, to give an overview of the course and the various topics that are covered, and then to talk about her assignments and grading policies throughout the video. So that's one way to attack that, and she does it in 3 minutes, 40 seconds, which I love. Here's another one from another nursing professor, and you can recognize the
Hello,
Zoom
everyone,
background.
Welcome to Nursing 304,
Oops.
Healthy Aging. My name is Dr. Marlene Thornton, and I will be the faculty member working with you in this course. I'm in my 8th year of teaching for Notre Dame of Maryland University, and this is by far one of my favorite courses to teach.
And she talks about the reasons why this is such a wonderful course for her. I'm going to go to the front of this one. This is a social work professor.
Professor Regina Sims Alston. I'm pleased to meet you, and I look forward to spending more time with you as we proceed through the course. Let me tell you just a little bit about myself. I have a bachelor's in social work from Tuskegee University. I have a master's in social work with a concentration in social administration and community organizing from the University of Maryland, Baltimore. I'm originally from Tuskegee, Alabama, and I'm the proud mom of 2 girls that you'll get to know a lot about during our course.
In this video, she actually does an overview of the learning management system and where to navigate that for students. And she also talks about the technology that's needed in this course, and she does all this in just under 5 minutes. The last one I want to show you is this fourth video that is a fully animated video, and the professor starts, well, you'll see.
So here's where things begin for real. I want to welcome people to the course, and I want to welcome people to the first series of lectures, which is on the brain, on neuroscience. And I want to begin this series of lectures and the course itself with a story about a man named Phineas Gage and an event that happened to Gage in the summer of 1848 in Cavendish, Vermont. So Gage was a blasting foreman working on a railway construction project, and his job at the time was to clear away rock so that they could lay down tracks. And to do so, his routine during those days was that he would bore a hole in the rocks. Inside the hole, he put blasting powder and a fuse in. Then he would cover that up with dirt and sand and take a tamping iron, which he carried with him, a big piece of steel, looked like a javelin, and use it to tamp down the sand and the dirt so that later they could set the fuse and to the first series of lectures.
Okay, so that is a different approach, but what the instructor does here is start with storytelling, basically, in that first video. And using an animated format is a really different way to present that course introduction, but it is a capability that we have here at Notre Dame. And you guys let me know if you want to take a look at the Beyond Animation Studio, because I do have one or two examples of that in my back pocket just in case.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. What's the software, Simone?
It's called Vyond, V-Y-O-N-D.
Okay.
And yeah, I can, when we wrap up, I'll see if I can pull up a quick video example of that, because I have used it for a few course introductions, and 2 or 3 of the professors in the School of Nursing have used it for lectures, to create lectures like the one we just saw. And that can open up the course. Like if you start with a story, you start with storytelling, and you talk about something really interesting, like Phineas Gage having this piece of metal shot through his brain and changing his personality completely. That's the way the story ends. You can start off that way and give them a really wonderful narrative that engages them, that talks about what you want to talk about, and has them wanting to come back to the course to engage with the lectures, engage with the course materials more, without actually, saying these are the course policies. So it's up to you how you want to approach that. And I do like to just add this list, even though I've said it. In the video, you can answer those basic questions. You can anticipate student questions. They get to hear your voice and see your face, and that starts to make a connection to your learners. You can share that excitement about certain aspects of what you're teaching. Share your personality, set expectations. And at the end of the video, when you're wrapping up and you're like, okay, story over, you can say to them, now that you've watched this video, go on to item 2, or make sure you complete the survey, or do something, but give them the next steps. So I think it's a wonderful inclusion in that course introduction module, is using the video. Another wonderful inclusion, and I've talked a lot in my training sessions about using the built-in templates in Brightspace. And Jeff, I can see you cringing right now, but using the templates is
one this morning.
Yeah, sorry. But what the templates allow you to do is keep visual continuity across multiple pages that students see in the courses, and in the course and in each module. But the course overview template is one that's built so you have a space to have maybe an introductory paragraph. You can include the course objectives. You can include the various types of activities that you're going to cover. throughout the course. You can also give them a list of different resources that you may be using. If you're using different software, if you're using different tools to create, the products in your course. If there's going to be a little bit of sculpting in class, perhaps they need to pick up a few different things, but you can tell them specifically the different tools that are available. One thing I like to say about using the templates and about telling them what's involved, you can also give them an idea of what the best way to do things are in the course. So here's a little note. Too many options can be way too confusing for people. We know that in Brightspace, there's usually more than one way to get things done, but we don't need to give our learners each one of them. Instead, pick the one you prefer, the way that you'd like things done, and let your learners know that one. So they're not having to make a little bit more of a decision each time. So let's take a quick look at my Brightspace course overview module. And I'm sorry, my course overview page. And this is one I created specifically. So I used a template called module overview, and I just called it course overview, and replaced the image with something that you'll see repeated in my course. For continuity, there's a quick bit of introduction, the 4 objectives that we're covering, and things like the best way to get in touch with me, the best way to get their disability accommodations addressed. And I could go on, I could add more information here, but this is all that I need for my particular course. So you can tailor these template pages to whatever your needs are. And I will show you, oops, I'm in here as a student. I know that we've probably seen this if you've been in one of my workshops before, you've seen this, but I want to show you how to get to the templates in case you don't know. So we'll just pretend I'm creating a new page. So create a file. And I've got a page here and name it yada, yada, yada. And as you're creating the page or as you're editing a page, you'll see select document template. And what I am using is either the course introduction or the module introduction. If you come into course introduction, it has a very big image. It's got a bright red title and a little bit of a paragraph space for typing in content that you need, but you can also create headings and subheadings here and add to this module. So far, so good?
Yeah, Simone, what did you have on yours? You had learning objectives, and then what was the second heading? I thought that was real crisp and clean. I wanted to emulate that.
Okay, sure. Let me just create a new one because I deleted it. XXX. And I'm going to use my module introduction. So there's a little header, learning objectives, and these are the built-in styles. Not a big fan. But, oh, I could also include learning activities, which is what I had on mine. So it then says the different ways that we're going to be achieving our goals. Pardon me. Sorry. So learning objectives, learning activities. Let me hit cancel. I could just show you mine, couldn't I? In my course overview. Objectives. Oh.
Be prepared. Okay, thank you.
Prepared. Sorry. I changed that before we got in here. Okay. So that is just one thing I wanted to include here. All right. Now, we do all generally include a syllabus in our in that course introduction section, in that module. And the syllabus tends to have a lot of the other things that we've been talking about already. And many of us will upload a PDF of the syllabus. I prefer a PDF because it keeps the formatting consistent. If you are sharing the file in Brightspace, or if you have your students download it, when they open it, if they click around, nothing's going to change in that document. Word files, sometimes if they were to download the Word file, or if they open the Word file in Brightspace, the formatting might be a little bit off. It might look a little different than what you uploaded. So I always advocate for PDF files for any attachments that your students want, that you're sharing with your students. Does that make sense?
I was using Google Docs for the syllabus, and I noticed there was like an option for that. But like when I linked to the URL, like it brings up a error message like in D2L, but then it still like opens up like in a separate window. Do you know, have you encountered that? Or
I have not encountered that. So you just have the link on your table of contents page. So it might be here, and it might say syllabus, and when they click on that, it goes out to a Google Doc.
Yeah.
Oh.
So like the Google Doc will still open in another
window,
but then like within Brightspace, like some type of error message shows up.
And when you do it, you use create a link.
Yeah.
Huh. All right.
I just used like the URL. I thought like I had seen an option for Google Docs as well, but I'm just curious if you had any insight into that. I just told the students that it works and just to ignore it.
Ignore that.
Haven't had any issues.
All right. I'm going to test that a little bit later and see. Oh, stop. Okay. My apologies. Let's see if we can. Okay. I'll test that a bit later. And if I have any weird answers for you, I will pass that on. So that syllabus document, it's, yeah, you can actually link to an external resource. And I've seen that not call up any errors, but I will check on that and see if there's any documentation about it. So after you add that content, the things, those bits, those elements to that course introduction module, it's a good idea to have a quick self-check also in that introduction module to see if learners are prepared for the course. In Moodle or Joule, I used to advocate for a syllabus quiz where students basically use the syllabus to answer questions. It ensured that all learners reviewed the syllabus before starting. This helped to limit the number of elementary questions that came up after class started. And students actually felt a little bit more prepared because, you know what, they were forced to look at the syllabus a bit more. Brightspace does offer you a few more options like surveys and checklists, and I'm going to take a peek at those in a sec. Now, in the syllabus quiz, what you're doing is you're asking your learners, have you reviewed X? Do you know where to get help for Y? And so the syllabus quiz is an ungraded quiz, and the questions might be, you know, when and where are your professor's office hours? What constitutes exceptional work? You know, what are the technology policies or the requirements for this course? So things that you include in the syllabus, you have them hunt and search for the answers. So it's like a little scavenger hunt that forces them to read through the syllabus to get, you know, either a nominal grade of 1 point or something that's ungraded. Now, the syllabus checklist is, again, the checklist is a tool that's built into Brightspace. It's a great way to meet those goals of that syllabus quiz. And you have an element that students can go back to and update as they progress, as they complete things if they would like. So let's take a quick look at my syllabus checklist. I'm going to come in here and view it as a learner. And whenever you view as learner, it kicks you back out to the course dashboard. So I'll click on my sandbox intro. And when I scroll down, it should say course preparation checklist. So when I click on that as a student, I've actually come in here and I've done everything already, but you can have, a few items that you think are important that students should look at and have to engage with. Have you read and understood the syllabus? Is my textbook purchased? Have I completed the introductory discussion forum? Have I read the handbook? And something that I have had a lot of instructors add is the note, if I require accommodations, then do I know who to get in touch with? Do I know when that starts? So those particular things, I think, can be useful for students to complete. And once they go through and maybe they've done 3 out of 5 things on the checklist, it saves automatically. There's no submit button, but they can go on to the next item and the next item. When they leave and come back, those 3 items that I've checked are going to remain, and I can check off more things on the checklist. Now, the syllabus survey and using the survey tool, that's something that's also built into Brightspace. It achieves similar goals in a slightly different format. And the thing that I like about this is that it includes a submission message that I can tailor and format for my learners. So let's just take a quick look at that. And hopefully I'll be able to complete the survey more than once. So this is my course preparation survey. And I did it. But let's see if I can do it again. I can. So if I come into the survey, I've got multiple choice options. So let's say in this course, I include a practice test before my exams, and I want students to take them to help them prepare. A student can say, yes, I'm totally going to do that, or I'm not going to do that, but thank you. As we scroll down, we have the question about accessibility accommodations and when one should alert one's professor. I've taught classes where students have received their documentation about various accommodations, and they have come to me after spring break and said, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to give you this. And sometimes it's important to give learners a little bit of a nudge about things like those accommodations. So have them really look at this and think about it. Oh, this is actually important for me to do now. And things about submission dates and deadlines. Give them an opportunity to go and refer to the syllabus. Now, when I submit my survey here, yes, my response form, let's just minimize that a little bit. When I submit my survey, I've got something that looks like a lot of the other pages in my course. So I can tell them, you've done well. The next thing to do is go on to the next module and read, watch the video, yada, yada, yada. So that's what I like about the survey, but it's a negligible bonus, I think, for that particular tool. So far, so good? All right, now the last thing that I want to look at are release conditions. And are we familiar with release conditions, guys?
I was just going to ask your thoughts on that.
Okay, go ahead.
And I'm not familiar with it, Simone. Can you tell me what it is?
I sure can. So release conditions are a way for you to tailor the way that students navigate through your course. So you can hide things from them, if they haven't completed let's say the course preparedness survey. You can hide the whole next module from them. So they have to go through all of the content in the introduction module, and then the academic modules are released after they have gone through items 1 through 5. That's basically what a release condition is. What I want to say about these is don't get into the habit of using a lot of release conditions. Like, find something that works for you. So maybe it is in your course, you are creating an exam, like a pretest or a study guide for the exams. And maybe students have to have gone through, opened, completed the exam study guide before they see the exam. For my course, I would probably say I'm not going to open any of the modules until you have gone through the course introduction, like finished items 1 through 10 on the course intro. But don't put too many of these, because sometimes if you have 2 or 3 release conditions in a module, if they are not very specifically put together, they might cancel each other out. What was your question about it, Jeff?
I was just wondering if you thought that these were best practice. Like, I've taken trainings and just thought it was kind of an annoying condition, but just doing the surveys, I'm thinking like all of the questions that I answer that are actually on the syllabus, maybe just having the students complete the syllabus survey would be a good idea before they move on to the rest of the class. So I was just curious, like, what your thoughts are, and what you see as like best practices.
Okay,
I guess you kind of answered that, like, don't use too many, use them sparingly.
Yeah, very sparingly. I definitely believe that something like the survey or the quiz or the checklist, where they are forced to review the syllabus, is a really good way to limit those questions, mitigate that from the very beginning. With release conditions, it really is a question of your preference and the way that you like to teach. I've seen them used very successfully in that example where students have to go through and review the study guide or review the pre-test first. I think that is a good way to do it, but you don't want to go crazy with these. I think these are cool, but you really want to make sure that it's something that's useful for you. So I won't harp on release conditions too much, but I will show you how to make one. So now, if you want to hide, like in my course, I do want to hide an entire module until the condition, and that's going to be completing the preparedness survey, until that is met. So to do that, I would find the module that I want to hide. And then in dates and restrictions, you'll find release condition, and then you'll see these things, condition type and condition details. So they're not too difficult to navigate to find these, but again, sparingly is important. So if I come back into my course and I've exited student view, the module that I want to attach the condition to right now is module number 1. So if I come into module 1, and I have already added a condition here. So I'm going to do this on module 2. And module 3, that is. So let's just get rid of this little puppy here. So the other thing about release conditions, if you are doing something like hiding all modules except for that introduction and having everything based on that introduction module, that's the very last thing you want to do when you're developing your course. Don't stick the release condition in first. For some reason, this has created some kind of a bug. So when you come into the module, and I thought I deleted that, I'll just add another one. So in conditions, I can just click in where it says the dates. And for release conditions, I can create one, select condition type, and it is going to be, I think they really did a good job putting these together. So completed survey attempt, that's where I would find that. And I would then find the condition details. I've got 2 surveys here. So I'm going to click on this one, and they only have to go through it once. and then I hit create. We're just going to hit cancel here. And my release condition will exist and look just like that. All conditions must be met before this opens. So they have to complete that survey. And that's something that I am only going to do once in the design of my course. Now, the last thing that I want to leave you with is that the introduction module is the first real access to the course for learners. It sets the tone for your course, and it's your first contact. It's their first contact with you a lot of the times. Like even if you're in a face-to-face teaching and learning environment, it's going to be their first contact. So once you have this, this introduction module set up, you want to think about what design elements are repeatable across your course. In my course, I really liked using that, that course introduction in the that course overview in the intro module. So this element, this page, course overview, I really like that, giving them just a place to start and then repeating that in each module. So in module 1, I have now an overview for module 1. And let's see. So for this one, I started with just a video introduction, but I'm giving them the objectives for this module. I'm giving them what various activities they're going to do in each module. And in module 2, I repeat that in module 3. So I liked reusing that element in the course, and like just reusing the templates, reusing this image as well in a lot of my modules, because I like to have that continuity from start to finish. So that's kind of where I'm leaving you, is with figuring out what you want to repeat once you've found the various elements in that course introduction module that you can use and you can share with your learners. So questions, comments, thoughts? None?
Thanks, Simone.
Oh my goodness. Well, you guys are very welcome. Yes, Molly?
Well, could you show us that beyond animation software?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I absolutely, thank you.
you.
Okay, let me just go back to my YouTube channel. I'll just share my window.